Hello, welcome Expedians. My name is Rachel and I'll be your instructor today for stretch and mobility. Let's go ahead and start on our backs here. Find your way to the ground on a mat or on a softer surface if you have one. We're just going to start by finding our breath today. You're going to bring your hands to either side of your rib cage and think about drawing breath into your belly before your chest rises. And then as you breathe out, pull your belly in. Take a few breaths like this. Draw that breath as low in your abdomen as you can. Your shoulders down. At your own pace, feeling your rib cage. Next, go ahead and bring your hands to your sides. We're going to bring our knees up into about a 90-degree angle here, pretending there's a tennis ball behind my knees. I'm going to push my back into the mat. I'm going to drop one leg down to the floor, posting my foot, then slowly lower the other leg straight, just as far as it will go to the ground without letting my back arch, and then bring it back up. Really focusing on that abdominal activation here. I'm going to push my back into the floor. Your foot might go all the way to the floor. It might just go halfway down your knee. Both are correct. It just matters that we're keeping that abdominal activation. Let's go last 3. Last 2. And last 1. Go ahead and post that other leg, lifting the other leg up straight, pushing your back into the floor, and drop. Up and down at your own pace. Thinking about that breath, still pulling my breath into my lower abdomen as I push my back into the floor. Last 3. Last 2. And last 1. Good. Go ahead and drop those legs down. Let your belly relax. Next, we're going to bring our hands into the floor, rolling our shoulders down our back. I'm going to push my heels into the floor to lift my hips high, pivoted up on my shoulder blades here. And we're going to march, bringing one knee towards my chest, and alternating here, trying to keep my back nice and flat, abdominals activated. So I get a little activation in my glutes. Few reps here, just enough to get the blood flowing through those muscles. Last 5. Breathe. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and drop those hips down. Bring your knees up, give yourself a hug. And go ahead and sit up here. I'm going to push my hands into the floor, tuck my toes, and lift my hips high into a downward dog position. In this position here, we're going to work on our shoulder rotation mobility, our abs, and our hamstring stretch. I'm going to tuck my tail first as I roll into a plank position here. And I'm going to push my hands into the floor and hips up to go back to downward dog. At your own pace here. Feeling how those abs engage as I come down to that plank. Those shoulders engage as I press back. My back relatively flat throughout this motion. Tuck your tail to go into the plank and push the hands into the floor to lift those hips up. And once you find your way back to downward dog here, we're going to pedal our feet, stretching out the calves. Allow your head to relax between your arms. Breathing into the belly, expand that rib cage, and breathe out. When you're ready, we're going to drop our knees to the floor here, coming into a tabletop position. I'm going to think about rolling my shoulders back into that arch as I lift my chest to the sky. Take a breath. Your tail to round. Breathe out. Roll those shoulders back to arch. And tuck the tail to round. A couple more at your own pace here, drawing your breath in and out with each movement. Once you find yourself back in your tabletop position here, we're just going to wag our hips back and forth, a little bit of a side stretch here. And dropping my shoulder down, left shoulder to left hip, right shoulder to right hip. Go ahead and press back, bringing our seated position to our butt here. I'm going to roll my shoulders back, and we're going to do a couple shrugs here. Thinking about what it means to pull my shoulders down and then up to the ears. Feel your back engage as those shoulders pull down. Feel your chest come out. Feel that space it creates in your neck and in your spine. I'm going to curl my toes up, lift my hips high, and slowly move my hands to my toes here, pushing my weight on the heels of my feet, and I'm going to slowly roll my back up, vertebra by vertebra, nice and slow, all the way up until I get to the standing position. I'm going to step forward, bending in my front leg, relatively straight in my back leg, and bring my hands up. Want my toes and my hips pointed forward. Nice neutral position in our back here, no arching, but trying to tuck my tail here, maybe even a slight bend in that back leg if your hip flexors are tight. And take a few breaths here. Now with a flat back, I'm going to drop my chest towards my knee, allowing my arms to swing behind me, and then push that front foot through the floor to lift the chest and the hands back up. And again, 4 more times here. 4. Bring the chest up. 3. Chest comes up. Last 2. Feel that stretch in your hip as you come up. And last 1. Now pivot that back foot towards the side, opening up our hip here. I'm going to drop my front leg down to the inside of my thigh. I might have a little bit of pressure on the inner thigh there. We're going to go arm circles with that top arm. Feeling some rotation in our shoulders. Both directions. About 3 circles each side. Nice and slow, trying to get them as close to your ear as you can. When you're ready, take a side stretch. I can either be up here with my hands still on my thigh, or try and straighten that front leg and drop that arm to the inside of the ankle. And when you're ready, bring it back up into that side position, rotating my foot back forward here, arms come up. I'm going to drop my hands in front of me, clasping. We're just going to do a small spinal twist across that front leg for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Go ahead and step together and stepping back for the other side. Lifting our arms up high, our tail is tucked. We'll find our breath in this position here. Deep breath into the belly and out. When you're ready, swinging those arms behind you, dropping the chest, down and up for 5. Nice, slow and controlled. 4, 3, 2, and 1. When you're ready, pivoting that back foot to the side wall. And dropping my hand, front hand to the inside of my thigh. And rotating that top arm for arm circles. So 3 circles each side, both directions. And when you're ready, go ahead and take that side stretch. Either with our bent leg or straightening out that front leg, reaching to the inside of the ankle. As my other arm comes overhead, still facing my head to the side wall. And when you're ready, come back up into that side position, pivoting back forward and step together. Next, we're going to take a nice wide stance here, toes pointed out. We're going to push our hands together here, getting that activation in our shoulder blades and our back. We're going to slowly lower down, really pushing my feet, my heels into the floor, getting as low as I can in that squat. Take a breath here. Then drop those hands, lift those hips high, and then slowly roll it back up. All the way to the top, rolling those shoulders back. Going again, push the hands together and lower into that squat as deep as we can. Then hold and take a breath. Hands drop down, hips lift high. Weight into the heels of your feet as you roll that spine up. And flatten the back out. Hands come together and squat low. Low as you can and take a breath. Chest up. Hands come down, hips lift, and roll back up. 2 more here. Push those hands together. Slowly lower into that squat, pushing the heels into the floor. Take a breath. And drop the hands, lift the hips. Roll up. Last one here. Push those hands together. Slowly lower down into that squat. Drop the hands, lift the hips. And roll all the way up, nice and slow, until your shoulders roll back at the top. Good, all right. Whew. We're gonna take a break off our legs here, bring it down, back down onto the floor. I'm gonna start with my forearms here, clasping my fingers, and just a gentle pull, maybe even straightening my arm until I feel that stretch right in my forearm here. Hold for about a second, and then switch sides. Try not to hold this one too long, just enough to feel that pull and release. And I'm going to clasp my hand into a fist, roll my fingers towards my forearm here, grabbing that fist with the other hand for a slight pull on the other side. Good. And relaxing those hands down to the thighs. Nice tall chest, rolling those shoulders back. I'm going to tilt my left ear to left shoulder. Hold for about a second and switch right ear to right shoulder. Not working too hard to bring that ear down, just gently letting the weight of your head tilt your ear back and forth. And when you're ready, we're going to take our gaze over our left, keeping that tall posture, and gaze over the right. Back and forth at your own pace. And half circles, dropping my chin towards my chest, left ear to left shoulder, right ear to right shoulder. You can go for full head circles if you want, just making sure we're lifting our chest to the sky as we roll that head back, keeping the back of my head off of my back. Because your neck just doesn't really like to bend that far in that direction. And switch directions. Breathing into the belly and out. Nice. Next, we're going to stretch out our hips here, coming down to our seated position, bringing our legs in front. I'm going to tuck one heel underneath me here, pointing that knee forward. My other leg's going to cross over that leg. And now you might try and sit tall and just feel that stretch right here. If you want to deepen the stretch, you can try and wrap that opposite arm around that leg. And with a nice tall spine, chest up, twisting across. Feeling that stretch in the side of that hip. A little bit of twist in our spine. Next, I'm going to take my back foot and pop it up. Put that top leg still on top. I'm going to roll onto my back and reach through that thigh, stretching out that top leg. It's a great spot to practice our deep breathing, the belly, expanding that rib cage, drawing the belly in to breathe out, maybe even feeling your abs engaged as you breathe out. And go ahead and release your feet. Coming back onto our seated position here, tucking my other leg under as my knee points forward, bringing the other leg over top, and sitting tall for the stretch. We're going for that twist. See if you can bring both the sits bones to the floor. One more breath. And bring that bottom leg up, foot to the floor, and then rolling back onto our back as we reach through that leg. A gentle pull, stretching out the hip of that top leg. Into the belly and out. And go ahead and release your legs, and we're going to roll onto our side here. Bringing my arms out in front of me, my knees are tucked in at a 90-degree angle here in my hips. And I'm going to lift my head away from my shoulders here. I'm going to take my top hand and try and brush my fingers onto the floor, keeping them on the floor as long as I can, tucking my head under my armpit here as my arm stretches out horizontal, keeping my hips stacked. Then I'm going to brush my hand, bringing my fingertips back to the floor as soon as I can, keeping my gaze on my hands or on the ceiling. A couple more sweeps here, opening up that chest, rotating that shoulder at your own pace here. With my hips stacked, bending that top arm as much as you need to here. Lifting the fingertips away from the ground. You want to feel that stretch, that rotation, but never pain with this, so adjust as needed. Everyone's shoulder mobility is in a different place. And when you're ready, go ahead and roll onto our other side for our other arm here. Hands are straight out in front. My knees are tucked in, pulling my head away from my shoulder here and brushing that top arm. I'm going to keep my fingertips on the ground as long as I can before I open up, stretching out that chest, and then bring them back to the ground. Following my hand with my gaze. A couple more here at your own pace. And go ahead and bring that bottom arm up, and we're going to rest our head on that hand. I'm going to straighten my legs out. I'm going to reach for my back, or reach for my top ankle here for that quad stretch, pointing that knee towards that side wall behind me. Gently pulling that ankle towards us here until we feel that stretch right in that thigh. Squeezing my glutes to push my hips forward. One more deep breath. And go ahead and release. And bring it over to the other side. Resting my bottom head in my hands. Straightening out those legs and reaching for that top ankle. And breathe. Breaths. One more breath. And release. All right, we're going to go ahead and finish in child's pose today. Bringing my knees apart, sitting back on my heels, and walking my hands out to rest my forehead on the ground. You want to add a little extra arm stretch here. We can reach our hands towards our shoulders. We keep our head on the ground and maybe even pull our elbows together. Breaths into the belly and out. I'm going to walk my hands to one side. Take a breath. And walk over to the other side. And walk back to center, resting our head to the floor. When you're ready, gently walk those hands up, grounding our back, slowly rolling vertebra by vertebra, all the way until we roll our shoulders back to the top. Ooh, and that is all I have for you in stretch and mobility. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay connected.